All right. So I'm going to take a minute here and just get a quick show of hands. Who's excited to talk about sustainability? Come on. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So we are in an era where sustainability has become a strategic imperative for organizations. But companies are really lacking on how to effectively utilize sustainability-led data or data to help sustainability-led strategies. It's often because we see silos or fragmented data, or maybe you're just struggling on who owns the data and how to use it. But technology can really be multifaceted in helping groups across an organization connect a bigger story. It can be from energy efficiency, it can be through your overall impact as an operation, maybe it's even product development. But sustainability data can really be at the crux of creating transformative change across an organization. So before going into all that fun ahead, I'm Jessica Benoit. I am an industry and partner solutions specialist focused on sustainability at AWS. Appreciate you all taking the time. I have the pleasure of spending about 20 years in industrial manufacturing, focusing on sustainability-led strategies and material sciences. So it's so fun to kind of see it all come together through data and technology. And I'm accompanied with the oh-so-talented Rene Grenier from Cargill Ocean Transportation, who's going to share his story of how Cargill is using sustainability data and integrating new technological advancements like AI and other capabilities, machine learning, and using that to kind of bring some transformative change within their organization. So appreciate you joining us today. A little bit about what we're going to talk about today is thinking about sustainability trends and data challenges, how AWS is working with customers, maybe a couple examples of use cases. We're going to throw in a little bit of AI for sustainability, because why not? AI is definitely a wonderful topic to talk about these days. We're going to hand it on over to Rene, who's going to chat about the Cargill Ocean Transportation story, and then we'll close it up. And look forward to hoping you leave a little inspired and looking forward to having future conversations with you and seeing how data can help transform your sustainability-led strategies. So with that, I want to kind of start with a few statistics. You know, a joint report from Salesforce and GlobeScan noted that 95% of their surveyed executives agree that sustainability data, or high quality sustainability data, is important for to realize value. Another 93% said that it's essential and important to kind of see commercial success. Yet only 27% of those same surveyed executives reported having high quality sustainability data actually in hand. And yet another 30% or so noted that they believe that they're actually very integrated with that sustainability data, which shows a gap. We realize that there's a strong value to sustainability-led data or having a good foundation for sustainability data, but we're really struggling on how to connect it, how to create it throughout the entire chain of our operations or our business function. A couple key challenges we see there, we talked about siloed data sets. So about 86% of companies are doing manual spreadsheets. So you've got departments using different data sets to kind of connect it all together. You're having quality gaps between that because you're translating one spreadsheet to another spreadsheet. You're having individuals kind of touch in that data and trying to connect it all together. It's inconsistent. It lacks reliability because you have an error rate now tied to that. When you have multiple hands touching the data and you have these disparate data systems and trying to kind of manually bring it all in together, human error is bound to happen. Or you're going to have a gap in translation of that data to a unit of measure that's going to be normalized or anything along those lines. What ends up resulting in that is you're going to have limited insights. You're going to have some skill gaps, some missing context to really kind of see this whole picture. You'll have kind of little bits or little data points, if you will, but what's it say about the full story? How do we bring it all in together to synthesize for a more meaningful and impactful kind of analysis? How do we use this to drive change and inspire our next move or initiatives within organizations, as well as connecting this to things like the bottom line, or to, like we said earlier, product innovation and development. A key component of that is starting with a strong foundation. Being able to identify your data sources, connect them, bring them together, being able to transform them, catalog them, process them, cleanse them, and then incorporate with the appropriate calculations to report and then act on it. This is pretty standard across a lot of other practices. You know, it's pretty crucial in general because it ensures that data accuracy that we're looking for. But sustainability data, which is no different to that approach, is unique because of the diverse measurements. You have these multi-dimensional environmental factors that are brought in here, regulatory requirements and reporting standards that are incorporated into this processing that adds a level of complexity unlike any other. So it's very difficult to bring in that foundation when you're trying to connect different scenarios of the story. So enter in the Sustainability Data Fabric on AWS. So this is an approach, it's a solution framework that is built depending on the customer's needs to help integrate partner solutions or integrate with capabilities across AWS to bring it all and simplify, to accelerate, automate, to create a capability unlike any other where you can use this solution framework to connect the data in parallel with activities that you already have, other apps or other data sets that already may exist, but putting a lens on it for sustainability. This allows us to centralize the data across your organization and help brings in this new data management perspective with sustainability working in parallel to other data sets. With that, this Sustainability Data Fabric works in 4 different layers of function. You're going to have your collect and connect, like you saw in the foundation slide, being able to bring all the data in together and creating an ingestion of that data into a central point. Your second layer is going to be a purpose-built layer where it's thinking of all the sustainability data management capabilities and functions, so doing your quality checks, doing your cataloging, processing it in a way that becomes now normalized into a single pane of glass. The integration, being able to integrate this sustainability data fabric with other in-house applications. Maybe it's already a SaaS product you're using for reporting, but being able to have this integrate, whether it's API or another connector, and having this work in sync with the other AWS services you have. Perhaps you've used our industrial data fabric before. Using this in complement to that. So you're taking industrial data across your operations and putting a new layer, a new view on this to help drive and maximize the outcomes. That's what this does. And then thinking about the flexibility and extensibility of this. So being able to build on. So it's not a one and done. It's not just for one use case. The idea is to bring all that data that's going to be purposeful for your sustainability reporting requirements, for those parameters defined for that R&D or for your disclosure, and being able to use this again and again. You now have this single source of truth for sustainability-led data. Whether it's mapping in from external sources like open data and you have emission factors that are mapped in. So you're using all that industrial data that happens in your ERP systems today or in your product design specifications that are already in your systems, your ERPs or MRPs, but now you're translating that on what does that mean for my sustainable impact or my product carbon footprint. Maybe you're looking at energy efficiency or production cycles and trying to translate that to what does that mean for the impact of the product or me as an operational footprint for sustainability. All things like that. So we can consider this as like a build-on approach. You're starting with that foundation, that quality layer, and being able to make this more flexible and add on more future use cases as you go. This is, I know, kind of a busy slide, but it's a fun one. This is really how this data fabric works, this framework, this solution framework. You have your varying data sources. We're taking these silo data sources. So again, those third-party data sets, those ERP systems, maybe you've got some IoT devices or sensors throughout your organization. Being able to identify and connect all of these sources. For those who've used like Textract, for instance, within AWS, using Textract to read the PDFs of your utility bills, and we're automating that ingestion. Taking it all in from disparate data sources, connecting them all together just like you would with an industrial or other fabric, and pulling it in. That data profiling or the metadata management, you're starting to put in best practices on access control throughout this process. You're bringing in that data lineage or the data quality or discoverability through external map sources like we talked about open data. Maybe you're using the Sustainability Data Fabric to help close the gap on some of the supplier data that's out there. You've got some disclosures from your suppliers, but you're missing a few pieces. Maybe you're looking at trying to do supplier disclosed data or activity-based versus spend-based. These are all things that we can use and pull in from an external source from the processing layer that you do see here with the ease of integrations. So between the number 2 and number 3 section, taking all of that data that's been synthesized and normalized and now transferring it or translating it into the lens of how does this impact from a sustainability perspective. Connecting that to new reporting tools, so dashboards, reports for your executives or key stakeholders, helping really create traceability and auditability to the claims that you have or that you're putting out there, and then building it for new business applications. Now that we have this foundation, what's next? Do we want to use this for energy? Do we want to look at our value chain? Do we want to start adding in alternative or adjacent use cases and using this foundation as that step one? Oftentimes, when you're using or when you're entering in with the use cases, you're kind of starting with the data foundation. And most groups have had to build data sets as a starting point, and they build another data set when that use case is identified, and so on and so forth. So think of this as kind of that first layer, that layer that's kind of covering those bases. So when you decide to bring on another use case, you're already kind of ahead of the step, excuse me. This is what this framework is intended to accomplish. We also see this, as I mentioned, that kind of strategy acceleration. So using in parallel to other engagements that you might have. Most customers that I chat with today are talking about their supply chain, but yet we're looking at it from how can I get supplier data? How can I pick the right supplier? How can I de-risk my supply chain? And they're talking about it from a very functional or financial, or I need to get the product out the door. Totally understandable. 100%. Your business, being able to keep your business moving, yes. But you can do more with that data. By adding in that layer, you're also maximizing the outputs of it. Being able to talk about the sustainability value of those products and services, or being able to double down on the efforts that you have engaging with your suppliers and getting that information because of incoming regulation requirements. The Scope 3 emissions, you've got CSRD or EUDR, a lot of regulations that are coming about if you're an international organization, and being able to maximize those efforts while you're looking at these business operational priorities, you're now seeing a double benefit come from this. A little bit about that of the guidance that we have for sustainability data management. The data management platform, or the guidance here, is a component of our data fabric or our data approach. So that's why you'll see me interchange between management and fabric. The fabric is the overall solution framework, and this guidance here is a part of that solution framework. So here you have the data stores. We talked about in that last slide, the one that was really busy yet fun, that you see it stored in varying data areas, or excuse me, varying data in different areas, and being able to pull it in outside from AWS and bringing it into an environment within AWS. You're going to have this technical metadata that's automatically imported into that data catalog, process cleanse, and then that data set columns that are then categorizing your domain-specific metrics or sets that have been now reconfigured for your reporting requirements, your output requirements, like your ESG reports, or maybe you have a CDP disclosure, or a specific type of output requirement. Maybe you are the one providing the supplier questionnaire to your customers. This is what we've also seen this used for. The next layer here, and this is where you start to see that data products come into play, the data profiling, like I just mentioned, and those connectors, that cataloging, where you've got the data owners coming in and creating some sort of categorization, like you think of a product hierarchy or a product classification. You're classifying now this data. What kind of data do we need to pull in? How do we need to access it, or how do we need to be able to read it based on the output requirements? And then we need to have the data consumers request that access. So you see the data consumers down here on the end being able to say, I need this data, and I need to be able to see it in this way. That next piece is, you think about the quality check. So being able to have the access controls, the quality overviews is all a part of the chain, and then being able to do the double back, the check from the data products and the data cataloging processes. So we do an added element of data checks. You can do almost like a prioritization or a sequence of the data reviews. If you're looking at primary and secondary data sets, or you've got create some sort of workflows in there that you want to take in supplier disclosed data as a first tier, and then you want to look at activity-based as a second tier, and maybe spend-based as your third tier. We have that happening here, so it's creating a prioritization of when to pull in what data. That said, now we're going to talk about AWS or AI with this. So AWS provides that most comprehensive and secure and price-performant AI infrastructure, and it's really built for a variety of needs. Now, within sustainability, that AI-driven visualization and natural language generation tools will help us really look at telling a stronger story around sustainability, being able to tailor content to resonate to your consumer or to your customers, and boosting that impact that sustainability brings within the organization. Increasing productivity, using AI to help identify gaps in the data as you're submitting disclosures. If anyone's filled out a disclosure, they are pages long. and being able to look at all of that using natural language recognition and identifying or cross-referencing the data that you have in your systems to really prioritize your focus. Where do you need to pull in data? Where are your gaps? Where do you need to ask specifically to your supplier instead of saying, hey, fill out this form? It's, hey, I need you to fill out this piece of this form in this unit of measure. So it's really saving that time. Then on top of that, using AI, like we've seen in chatbots, to kind of help create quick fact finds. So if it's assessing the data or assessing the information that it's fed into using your LLM models that are defined, being able to then say, here's this facility is the one with the highest carbon emissions. This product has the biggest packaging impact. Those are all elements that we've seen AI come into play with. So generative AI has also, as a part of every aspect of the business, offers a range of capabilities. You know, we talked about kind of some of the use cases or some of the examples that I provided just a moment ago, but you can create new, not just customer, but also your employee engagement elements. So thinking about experiences through AI and using sustainability as kind of a focus, helping kind of translate, like we said, that message a little stronger to your audiences. We talked about productivity, thinking about drawing insights a little bit faster, being able to save time there and money and being able to draw to a perspective a little faster. But we also talk about innovation. That's one I didn't cover yet purposefully. Think about you're a chemical engineer. You have to provide a sustainable product and you've got thousands of materials. You've got performance specs, material specs, manufacturing specs. There are so many different levers and decision levers that you need to incorporate or consider as a part of the R&D process. Being able to have AI help pinpoint or create a first assumption or first targeted approach. So you're narrowing the focus and creating kind of an automated vacuum of here's based on these levers or decision lines, here's the best starting point for you. That's where we see AI coming in and using sustainability data fabrics and using sustainability data management as a way to be that added lever of decision making or of innovation. There are a ton of use cases that we've seen with AI and sustainability. These are just some of the ones that we see coming across industries. So if we're looking at training for employees and using some natural language to help translate a message, whether it's an internal culture or if it's an external message to your customers or end consumers. Thinking about demand forecasting and inventory management. What is my overhead risk or my energy expectations if I am 90% full? Or what kind of packaging do I need to consider based on this seasonal demand? Trying to think of drawing insights and how that translates. So using all the data that you have, again, connecting the business a little more, adding that sustainability layer and using it from a different perspective. And thinking about AI-powered assistance. If you go into certain websites or even our Amazon.com, you'll see that there's this climate pledge friendly product. Or you'll go to some websites and see here's the carbon footprint of this product. Think about some AI assistance or some interacting elements that can help really enhance the visibility or value position of a product or service that you're offering. But that's not the real reason we are here, right? We want to talk to Renee Grenier, who's going to share a little bit about how Cargill Ocean Transportation is using sustainability data management and the approach that they're taking to help transform the organization and incorporating newer technologies in this adaptive approach. So I'm going to hand it to Renee here.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm super proud to be here to share our story. How do we accelerate? Before we go to this, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm René Greiner, the Data and Digital Lead for the business group Ocean Transportation, based in Geneva. You may ask, okay, what are the guys doing in Geneva with vessels on the ocean? You will see in a minute. I have over 25 years experience in trading markets, commodity, data and technology, and 20 years I spent in energy trading for big, large companies in Europe. And already 20 years ago, I implemented the emissions trading certificates right in energy trading. So the topic as such is not so new as it plays out now, but it helps us in our story to accelerate. So let me introduce you our group at first. What do? We are a leading freight trading organization. We move cargo around the world for dry and wet for customers. We have 700 vessels in our fleet, 13,000 port calls every year, 220 million tons cargo moving around the world, which speaks for itself. We bring perspective to the market. We have been founded in 1956 in Geneva. Since then, we developed a deep expertise in maritime business, in technology, data, trading, and so on and so forth. We have trading hubs in Geneva, Singapore, and Miami, but we're also present in other regions in the world. As you can see, really for us, everything we do has to be immediately global and has to work for the entire world. We partner for progress and really change. There are two things I mean with this. The maritime industry needs really working together between ship owners, customers, companies like us, connecting the dots with regulators and with technology supplier to really move the industry forward, especially when it comes to sustainability. This is not a given thing. There are really big efforts we have to implement in the industry to make it really more sustainable. So how does the decarbonization strategy in our company looks like? And every strategy has to start with a clear goal. Our goal is by 2050 to have a zero carbon shipping implemented. This is a very ambitious goal, we know. There are only 25 years to go. And if you consider like a vessel has a lifetime of 20-25 years, right? Depending in which technical conditions it is and how we maintain it. There's not so many years, not so many cycles ahead to 2050. That means in 2017 already, we started to set the path. We defined the goals, also the path to achieve our end goal. We investigated which technologies can help us in this journey. We also brought together the industry. We became the founder of the Global Maritime Forum, which sets the standards for sustainable shipping, which is not easy to get really in every part of the world. In 2021, we started to implement really technology on the vessels to reduce the emissions footprint for already existing vessels. And next year, we will launch the first vessel, for example, which has no emissions anymore. It's a methanol fuel-powered vessel. Last year, we implemented wind wings and biofuel, to reduce the footprint already, which gives you almost 20%, up to 20%, depending on the conditions. So it's really a hard work. It's not really something we put on marketing slide and we just want to show we are so sustainable. We really do something. It's really in our DNA. How can data play and help you in this journey? As you see, it's a long path. You have 700 vessels shipping around the world, transporting cargo. You are in the middle of this supply chain and you really want to track how is your fleet doing. And if you take a step back, there are two KPIs which plays an essential role for us. The one is the energy efficiency data, which tells you how is your vessel, how is your vessel doing under real conditions on the ocean. Depending on the speed you go, the fuel you have bunkered, the cargo you move, and weather, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of factors playing into this KPI. The other thing is the carbon intensity data. You can imagine this like, you have your vessels, you group into 5 categories. And all the categories tells you how efficient your vessel is. A is the highest efficient one with the lowest emissions footprint, and D the opposite, or E the opposite. So these two factors together gives us a kind of view and the instrument to manage our fleet continuously to this end goal, because the one tells you how is your vessel doing on the ocean under real conditions, the other one is how it should be, right? And also you need to understand, or let's say you need to consider investments decisions has to be made, right? We really want to see, is it in value, is it not, where to go, and so on and so forth. Yeah, then in 2022, we said, okay, let's invest into data and technology. And what we did as a first, we analyzed the processes. And the bitter truth was the processes were not really scalable. We had extra processes all over the place, consuming a lot of human effort because of this low degree of automation. The data we reported to the regulatory was available every 3 months. Even this took a long effort to produce this. So it means you're always missing the points in between, right? You really have a kind of blind flight in terms of, managing your entire fleet. And talk analysis are complicated. And also we knew already two years ago, generative AI was knocking at the door. And if we don't do anything about this, then we probably will have no AI-ready data to even play with this technology and to leverage this technology. What did we do? We took a new approach. with our tech partner Amazon, we run a data to everything workshop. This was at this point in time the product, and we run through our processes, or personas, or KPIs, or business problems, and we clustered and analyzed this with our business users all together. And we came up after this process with 12 potential projects. We only selected one to start with, in order not to get lost in complexity and too many requirements. And you know the story, right? Technology and data can be easy, but it becomes complicated when you go down this road. And also, we thought very carefully how to implement a technology that we can later on scale, because of already we knew it's a continuous journey, right? It will not stop at some point in time. So now 2.5 years, or almost 3 years later, in April it's become 3 years. What could we learn from this? After 4 months, we delivered already our first MVP. There was the carbon intensity calculator I just showed you before. At this moment in time, the company was able to cluster the vessels and to compose the portfolio of vessels according to our strategy execution. 5 months later, we introduced Jarvis, which is the internal name. We gave this to this tool. And what does Jarvis do? We realized that people were struggling connecting structured data with non-structured data. And the non-structured data have so much powerful data points. If you bring this together, you get even one step up in your value creation. So what we did is we put this in place with over 350,000 documents. Later on, we added machine learning, AI capabilities, so people could go and search for the right clauses in the contracts, for example, and to have it on the fingertips ready to make decisions and to schedule and to improve the operations of our vessel fleet. Later on, we put a lot of effort into automation of processes, because of it gives you efficiency, but also systematically data you can use for other products later on you want to build at any point in time. So, and as you can see, we continuously delivered. Every 3-4 months, we put a new product out there. After the first year, I was very proud on this. After the first year, we closed already the first big chapter of emissions footprint. After 1 year, people were able to see all data regarding emissions for our vessel fleet. And now we play on generative AI, as many companies are doing this, right? We need to pivot into this as well. So after this time, how does our data capability landscape looks like? I don't want to go through each of these boxes, but the key message is basically what we did is we always look at agility, right? So and data design. It's very much important. We don't do technology because of of course I like technology, but we don't do technology because of technology. We want to achieve a business value. And for this, we need to design everything what we do, every product around data, continuous data flow. And this brings us to, we have to be able to integrate every kind of data. We have to have governance in place. We need to bring structured, non-structured data together. We need to play with AI or ML in some of the use cases. And we need to automate, of course, right? So I'm pretty sure if we go further down the road, in 2 years, the ecosystem maybe looks even richer. Now I want to show you some concrete examples, right, out of this journey. The first is data-driven decisions, right? The point is, imagine you have the 700 vessels going around every day. You have to schedule, you have to allocate your cargo to the right vessel, you have to schedule where the vessel is going next, and so on. And for this, data is so much important to us. And with our analytics product, we are able to build trajectories, analyze vessels, compare to each other, review our investment decisions, and at any point in time, we have a clear overview where is our vessel standing according to our sustainability strategy. It's a very important thing to us. The other thing is what we got by this is we reduced our human effort in this process, right? Over 1,000 working hours we could release at the very first day when we launched the product, right? And this is very much important because of people can then spend time on analyzing data and getting insights and not in number crunching and being afraid of having something wrong. in our data store. AI chatbot. This was a very interesting thing. This is something we did. We started over a year ago, June, July last year, and it goes back to people came to me and said, "Hey, René, this is sometimes. I mean, I like all the data you're producing, right? But can we have a simple way of accessing this and having simple question answered so that I don't need to go and retrieve and SQL data and build my own dashboards and so on?" We said, why not experimenting with a chatbot? And what we did is we put one use case together. We trained the bot over, I think, 700 questions in the first release where the bot able to answer correctly to people. The people were even able to get the data on the thing, just to press a button. They got a data set. They could put thumbs up, thumbs down. Very good experience for people. It also was a very good, let's say, flavor of the future when you work with generative AI. Unfortunately, we could not build generative AI already into it because of over a year ago, the LLMs were not so accurate in our context. The way we speak, the terminology we use, right, was a bit a challenge. So we use natural language processing for the kind of first release. We are now in the process of adding generative AI on this. The good thing is the technology today allows you to just build this in, right? You don't need to start again from scratch and revolution the world. It's a good story for us. And in terms of business benefits, what we see if I really look end-to-end, typically what you see, technology guys, they look at the technology stack only, but I consider also the effort we reduce in the business. And that moment you get people just on the fingertip and you have all your data and people are able to do this and seamless and don't need to ask me again anymore. We see up to 90% efficiency gains in this. If the bot delivers correct answers. That's a challenge, right? Around quality. The next one is AI late time. What is late time? I explain it in a very simple manner. When a vessel comes to the port, it's coming from the ocean, goes to the port, then typically you get a time window, and in this time window you have to charge or discharge your vessel. If you don't do this, then you disrupt the process of others. You are too late to deliver your customer. It has negative impacts on your P&L, etc. And what we did is we automated this process. In the past, people had to search for this information, put it together, extract information manually, put it into a calculation engine, and calculate the amount we had to pay or we receive. And this process has been now fully automated. We built a workflow, and the machine already populates the data so that the user only needs to click on the button and say, okay, it's right or wrong, do some final checking, press the final button, and the calculation happens on its own. The accuracy of the model we achieved was over 80%. It was very surprising to us. And the efficiency, that was tremendously. Up to 2,800 hours we are able to save every year, depending on the complexity and where you go in the world, right? It's not a fixed number. It really depends where you go and how the formats and how the data look like. But, key message, you get good data. You can even analyze now, you can optimize your voyage, and you automate the process, right? You catch basically 3 things with one stone. Data for customers. You can imagine if you go to supermarket today, you have everywhere your GHG footprint or emissions and so on. Also, we get asked, of course, by customers, can you explain how is my emissions footprint for the cargo voyage I got from Cargill? And of course, we want to do this, right? And we open our books and we say, look, this is the emissions footprint for your cargo transportation. And this creates transparency, it creates awareness, but it also helps to identify even better solutions for the past, right? Where we can work together with the customer to even achieve better sustainable solutions, right? So because of not every customer has the exactly same strategy as we do have, but we see more and more coming like this. So I'm almost at the end. That's my final slide for today, right? What's the key conclusion out of this? Number one, and this is where I'm a businessman with technology background. So for me, it's very important that we are quick in time. We are give the right information to the right people in the organization to make good decisions. And this is where we, an organization, if we compare this what we had before, is 5 times faster. Automation. as I said, if you automate, then you automatically also create data you probably had never the chance, to get hold of before, and you reduce the effort. And this is for us up to 80%, over 80%. And in some core processes, we even implemented 100% automation. And this has links back to cost, or cost, compared to the world before has decreased by 60%, but you get more data, more frequent data. So it's really hard to compute and to put this in hard dollars. But if I compare this to where we were before, it's way better, and it's really, I see my cost budget, right? It's really for us awesome to see this. So you can get better data faster and at lower cost. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you today. So I'm at the end of my part. I hand back to Jessica.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Renee. Appreciate it. Really want to take a minute to thank Renee and the Cargill team who really took a moment into thinking about things a little differently, really using sustainability strategy as a driver for their organization to help transform through change and transform change, excuse me. And Renee, you've done a fantastic job. We're thrilled to continue to work with you. And many of you may be wondering, okay, great, now what? Few things we want you to walk away with. First is understanding some best practices. You're hearing AI a lot in this conference. That's great. There's so much potential with the power of AI, and even using AI, ML, depending upon your organization, your focus, your initiatives. But some best practices we recommend coming out of today. Identify some high impact opportunities. Think about some projects, maybe some things that your teams are asking about that could be incorporated into a consideration for AI. Use the right tools. Think about some flexibility, give yourself some choice, kind of think about what would you ideally want to incorporate or do at the end of the day. What's the desired outcome so you can work backwards and incorporate the right tools at the right time. Make sure to measure your impact and maximize that ROI. We talked about earlier this interrelationship with sustainability strategies and data, and how can we bring the two together with operational data or functional data so it translates better to an ROI. That's exactly what we continue to have conversations with our customers on. How can we really help take the operational footprint or our day-to-day practices and let sustainability help inspire change and still drive bottom line impact? So think about all that impact that you want to measure. How do you want to measure? What metrics, what KPIs, and how do we want to translate that, and where are the financial impact levers that are associated with that? Invest in educating and training your teams. This is a running joke, I think, with everyone I talk to, all my customers as well. Coming from less of the technical side and more on the sustainability side, if I knew then what I knew now on the capabilities of technology, probably would have saved a lot of long hours or a lot of little gray hairs here and there. That said, think about keeping that conversation open with your teams and kind of thinking across those groups that you're potentially collaborating with, or you work with shared services, or maybe there's some initiatives or asks, making sure kind of there's conversations are continuously being had and learning from them as well, because as a technical professional, there's such an influence on sustainability. Whether you're thinking about sustainable IT, like the idea of migrating or optimizing your workloads, think about the functional, sustainable impact of being on the cloud and using AWS services, but also how IT can help drive sustainability and using different technologies or different capabilities to report faster, have better quality, automate information, so we can instead spend less time pulling the information just to report the news, but more time really driving the initiatives and measuring that impact. Coming out of today, if that's something that you're interested in having a little bit of a deeper dive, we encourage you to talk to your account managers. Engage your account team. You can mention your team's looking at sustainability. Maybe you're not really sure and you want to kind of have a deeper dive with the larger teams within your organization and with our team. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk with your account team members, our teams on industry and product solutions groups, partner solutions teams. We will come and kind of do a working backwards, understand a little bit about what are your priorities, what are you currently working on with your account teams, or what projects do you already have in flight, and seeing where can we help maximize that with sustainability lens a part of that. Renee mentioned that data-driven everything workshop. Those are workshops just like you've seen across some of the other sessions or maybe heard about or even participated in. Those are things where sustainability can be a part of that conversation. So I urge y'all to kind of chat with your account team a little bit. Identify a few use cases and priorities. Very subjectively, I always like to lean on a sustainability-led challenge. That's what our team specializes in. But if you're thinking about efficiency, operational efficiency, you're thinking about your building management systems, maybe you're thinking about, again, your R&D and innovation or engaging your consumers, sustainability can be a part of that. Or you can say, hey, I want to reduce my waste. Hey, I want to report my ESG metrics more clearly and accurately. That can be a sustainability-led focus as well. So don't let the fact, if you don't have line of sight to a sustainability-led challenge or project, think about the other projects that your organization's working on. There's likely a sustainability lens on top of that can be a benefit. And I could not express that more and encourage that more. It'll also help too, as in the event that your organization is impacted by incoming regulations, which are happening globally, as well as we're seeing more reporting requirements come about, or if you are a part of a complex value chain, it is coming. So it's a nice part to parallel those paths together to maximize the efforts that are going into them. Prioritize some customized parameters. Think about what do I need to accomplish? What does my ideal outcome look like? What does that kind of progression look like? What do I need to do today? What do I want to do tomorrow? So we talk about not boiling the ocean, maybe starting small but thinking big. Have that kind of in mind. It doesn't have to be totally unpacked, but think about some of those requirements or those must-have, nice-to-have, should-have, maybe don't need to have, and come in with a little bit of a thought around that, and we'll help kind of structure, compartmentalize some focus areas. And then let's review some AI impact. Can we help you move a little faster by integrating AI capabilities? Can we help boost productivity or save some resource hours, so you're, again, focusing less on just reporting the information, but rather looking at how can we transform it into action. That said, I want to thank Renee again so much. I want to thank you for sharing your story with us. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your unbelievably crazy busy week, and we thank you so much for taking time to join in on our session today. If you have questions, happy to answer them after the session, but thank you again for joining us.